Hi guys, welcome back for the second time today. You know my famous car videos. Once I get my hair done and gather my thoughts back, I thought, you know what? I think I'll just hop back on. And I was talking about food earlier today, and we talked about potatoes and the body's chemical response when you eat potatoes. Remember, if you want to eat a potato, it's better for the body if it's fried, and fry it in olive oil. That is putting a good fat into a highly starchy environment, which makes the body break it down at a slower rate because fat gets in the way. So egg whites are 75 insulin response. If you put the yolk in, it brings your glycemic index all the way down to, I believe, 25. So always eat your eggs whole. Never eat egg whites just by themselves, especially if you're struggling with front gut weight or bowel issues, aging. You need the good fat to help the body slow its roll when it's processing its food. The slower, the better. Better fat, more good fat, the better. Good fat does not raise insulin, hence glucose levels. You can stick your face in 500 pieces of bacon, and the body's response to that is not to raise the glucose level. It will not spike your insulin to eat a good fat, nor will it spike it on a good protein. So hence we need to eat vegetables. You can eat them in any form that you want, any form that you love, and don't try your best not to mix them with pasta and rice. Okay, so what were we told about pasta and rice? We were told that maybe whole wheat rice, like brown rice, was better for you. Pasta, like, just remember this: there is no clean carb. Zero. No carbs are clean, meaning carbs are for a short burning response in the body. You could never eat another carb as long as you live, and you would be completely fine. Would it be fun? No. Would it be the kind of life maybe that we want? No. But some people are happy just eating no carbs. Some people are. That's not me. It probably will never be me. I was raised on meat and potatoes in the heart of the Midwest. So of course I love what I was raised on, because my food formation was founded, on meat and potatoes. So I just I don't really get outside my food box too much, meaning I'm not constantly trying new things. I used to do that, and sometimes it was a hit, sometimes it was a miss. So now I just kind of stay in my lane of what I know. Doesn't mean if I'm out somewhere that I wouldn't try something new, but I'm not going to fix new foods that I don't know at my house. So I'm in my lane. So I fast 4 or 5 days a week. So that means I eat dinner at a regular time. Then I don't eat snacks, nothing until the kind of like an early lunch. So that means I'm fasting about 17 hours, which makes my cells, if this is my cell, with the receptors open up. After that long of fasting, all the little cellular receptors are open, which means my insulin can drive into the cell and the cell will accept it. So hence correcting my insulin resistance issue. I told you how great my blood sugars were doing. I'm actually kind of excited to see what my blood work says. Don't ever let anyone tell you that diabetes is not curable, because in functional medicine or integrative medicine, it is 100% done all the time, but it's dependent upon you, the patient, to do what you have to do. Meaning, instead of taking the pill or the drugs, you have to use fasting, use protein, use vegetables. And if that doesn't work for you in your mind, then the pills are what the choices that you're left with. And just remember, all the consequences come with medications. If you need them, you need them. Try to always use medications in short bursts, short periods of time, because there is always a price for a medication that goes into the body, whether it's over the counter, whether it's prescription. There's a price inside the body that happens that you may not see or notice, but medically, scientifically, it's there. Just try. It's all about the less word. So Susan Summers was saying in her Facebook Live yesterday, you know, if it's absolutely necessary, she'll take something over the counter. So I kind of thought that she never took anything over the counter, or her family, because they're all on the same train of functional medicine. But she says that, you know, if it's absolutely necessary, once in a while, they will take something if they need it. But for the most part, they don't take prescription drugs or drugs over the counter. One, they don't need them. They don't require them as often as people in the regular population. And I believe, just like me, once I kind of righted the ship, I didn't require, or my body didn't require, heavy medications that it once required. So you can shape yourself right out of any kind of medication. It does take dedication and effort. And so when you're thinking of food plans, especially as we age, and say you think ahead and I want to make 5 meals, or, you know, I want to kind of figure out what I'm making for dinner this week, and it's dinner. So the body's processing different in the morning than in the evening. And so you want to make sure that you try your best to leave out the pasta, leave out the rice, because chemically brown rice is processed no different than a piece of cake. I know, does that suck or what? I mean, I don't like rice, it's not my thing. But, and there would be people that would argue with that line of science, but all the studies, the glycemic index, everything that I know, it is very factual that the body breaks rice down the same way it does bread, same way it breaks down wheat bread, white bread. It's all the same. To the body, it's a carbohydrate, and it's not good carbs. There's really, and people talk about good carbs. Well, I mean, I really don't know if that I believe in good carbs. It's just, what kind of carb are you consuming? So make a choice. If you want to eat fruit carbs, then eat them. You're going to have a bounce of energy. It's going to spike your insulin, and that's okay. Say you want to go play tennis, then eat a bunch of fruit. That'll spike up your energy, spike your insulin, but make sure you realize that protein is the basis of what your muscles and your body really, really needs for the long haul. So you spike up on carbs and fruit, say a piece of chocolate, anything, pasta, bread, potatoes, crackers, anything that's made from flour, which our flour in this country is actually completely horrible. They process it horrible. They ruin everything that's good, that was once good for us, by over processing it. They strip it and bleach it and do all kinds of things to it. Why? Because they're trying to make shelf life longer. Rice in its original form, before it's stripped and shelled and hulled and they mill it and they polish it, you wonder why the Asian genetics aren't overweight per se. It's because they don't eat processed or milled rice. And I think my husband once told me, well, there's millions of Asian descendants per se, people eating tons and millions of pounds of rice and they look great. It's because of the processing per country. So countries have particular way that they process their food and they sell it, and typically the United States is the only country that processes food to kill it. Basically, they've taken away everything that's good for you and made the bread, made the cracker, made whatever, and put it on a shelf so it can sit there for a long time and not go bad. So they don't do that overseas. A loaf of bread sits on the shelf for a week, it rots. I've lived overseas. I understand their process and their food, and it's completely different. They process food without chemicals and without dyes, which are so very important to human life existence. And this is why their incidences are much lower than the United States. Their obesity rate's much lower. Their mental health issues are lower. Why do I say that? I say that because the body and the mind are all connected. If your body is not healthy, it really ups your chances to having mental health issues. It's all kind of in the same basket. Chemically, physically, our brain is up there swimming around in all of our juices. Our spinal fluid is full of all the juices of what makes us us. So if you're short because your musculature is unhealthy, because you don't eat right, or you don't cardio, or you don't walk, or you only eat carbs, or you only eat protein, the body really wants the balance. And we thrive the best in the balance. And the balance for the body is actually raw food and meat. Walking barefoot. I haven't talked about that yet, but I'm going to start talking about grounding, walking barefoot on the earth, why that is important, what does it do for you, what does it do for your brain, what does it do for your body. Does it sound like hocus pocus? Maybe. But there's a ginormity of information out there about grounding. You can look it up, or you can comment below. We can have a conversation about it, or I'm going to talk about it in the next video. Think back in the day. What were we eating and what were we doing? We were hunter-gatherers, barefoot in the sun. We got plenty of D, we got plenty of roughage, raw food, and we only got meat once in a while when we could gather up together and go hunt something. So we were hunter-gatherers. How did we survive? There was no medicine, there was no doctors. We're talking thousands of years ago, okay? Hunter-gatherers. If you kind of gear your aging like a hunter-gatherer, you will age better, slower. Your brain will be healthier, your bones will be healthier if you just lean on the raw food and the protein. And put your cheat night in there. I'm still cheating with Mexican, probably always will, or Werther. My family knows if there's no Werthers in the house for my little piece of candy, I don't like it. So it's not about being perfect. It's about the little tiny bit as possible. So food is so important. Remember the saying, we are what we eat. My mother, I think, used to say that back in the day, and I used to think it was the dumbest thing I ever heard. Why are we what we eat? That just didn't make sense to me as a young person. But as a woman who's 52 now, and really understand medicine and functional medicine and how the body functions in this environment that we live in today. We are under great assaults from our cell phones, from our wireless, from every kind of technology goes right into us, into the body. The body doesn't bounce off the waves. It goes through us. This is why we're aging differently, quickly. Our aging pace has hepped up over the past generation. Now that's why functional doctors are telling their patients to start supplementing at a younger age, because they want to fill those gaps that the outside environment puts onto the body. So when we eat stuff the body doesn't recognize, it's dealing with it in the only one way. It packs it up, pushes it into a cell, membrane goes around it, packs it into fat, and walls it off. And the body puts it into a fat pack. Where's my fat pack? Oh, you know, they're everywhere. And it's danger zone. Danger. They do not want to release those fat packed cells full of stuff it doesn't know how to process. So that's why our water consumption is very important when we're changing our eating styles and our exercising level. We keep hydrated so the cells will want to release that stubborn toxins easier. So I had a great hair appointment as usual. For me, a great hairdresser is worth his or her weight in gold. I always get my hair straightened by her, and I just told her, and I wore it curly in there, and I told her, my air conditioning is going crazy, sorry. I told her, I was like, there is no straight like hairdresser straight, and you guys have to know what I'm talking about. Your hair is never as straight and luxurious as when your hairdresser does it, at least for me. My hairdresser is amazing, and I'm having a great makeup day, although I've got the edges of my bronzer wore off from my hair process, but that's okay. I'll fix it when I get home. And I hope you guys understand how important food is to the aging process, or during the aging process. Food is health. Food is important our whole lives, but especially as we're aging to these higher numbers on the backside of life. So important to keep it low as possible. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.